Let's welcome on stage CEO, Editor-in-Chief, People Matters, Ester Martinez.
Few minutes to take you through our State of Technology report that we released today. And we're going to request the team to give me the report in a minute. And it will be available to all of you. And I'm going to use just the next 5 minutes to take you through some of the insights of what we gather in this report. It's been 250 organizations have participated this year. And the objective was really to understand how much of the processes that we have, people processes, are underpinned through technology. How are you taking your strategy of driving digital transformation in the HR, in your organization, and where are the gaps from skill perspective? So that's what I'm going to take you through in a minute. So one of the contexts when I speak to many CEOs and CHROs on, what is it that we want to achieve? What are the biggest business problems we're struggling with? I think the context is how the way of work is changing. And all of us know this, and I think for the last 24 hours and another 24 hours to go, we will keep hearing about how things are changing. But there are 3 things that haven't changed. What is it that our CEO wants from us? What is it that our board of directors wants from us? What is it that our shareholders want from us? One is about productivity. And I think the interesting word that somebody shared with me is it's not about productivity anymore, it's about hyper-productivity. So we're not talking about productivity anymore. We're talking about how can I make my organization hyper-productive? And how can each one of us as HR professionals enable me as a business leader to become hyper-productive? So that's number 1 goal. Number 2 goal is how can we become hyper-collaborative? I think this whole agility, and we heard yesterday CEOs talking about flattening the organization, empowering the last mile. How do I make everyone in the organization to be able to collaborate to the level of hyper-collaboration? And the third thing that our business wants from us is how we become hyper-innovative. So again, innovation is not enough. So we're really pushing the boundaries to say, how do we get the organization to be hyper-innovative? Because now we're not talking about being able to take market share. In many ways, we're talking about survival. So innovation is really going to be key for each one of us. So very quickly, when we look at the size of the market, and you notice that we call People Matters, TechHR as HR and work tech, because I think HR is not about HR efficiency anymore. It's really about people and work efficiency. So when we look at the industry, traditionally we look at workforce experience and productivity as the segment, which is mostly represented in our sphere of control. But there are new segments that are coming up, which I think it's important that each one of you as HR professionals get involved, because this is the technology that you will have to lead. And yesterday CP said that if you don't lead it, someone else will. Gig economy, how do we leverage extended workforce? Many of those departments don't even sit with HR. It's either with sales, with operations. Why should it be? It's, at the end of the day, people. Second, enterprise benefits. I think when we look at benefits, especially outside of India, is a lot more advanced. I think in India, it's coming up. So how much of it, technology related to benefits, you're aware of and you know about? Next is about robotics and AI. Many of our organizations are actually outside. That's not necessarily traditionally HR per se, but it's really about how are we automating work and how are we creating more efficiencies. And lastly is about healthcare. I think very advanced segment in India as well. So this is just the context. 3 things that I'm leaving you with is which are the levels of automation, the different functions of HR. High levels of automation, of course, HR operations, followed by performance management and collaboration. It's interesting to note that performance management, we did the same report in 2016. The level of automation has come down, which is a very interesting. It may be happening because each one of you is rechanging the way you're looking at performance management and actually wanted to do it more human than technology-driven. It's interesting that 58% is actually come down from last year by 11% in terms of how many of the organizations have automated this process. The least automated process, high potential, succession planning, and workforce planning. I'm surprised to see workforce planning not only being at 21% of the activities being automated. So for us to reflect on. I'll take you to the second segment, which is what are we looking for when we're investing in technology? Efficiency and effectiveness, number 1 and number 3. And number 2 is about enabling that individual and the manager and really getting out of the way, enabling that person to get his or her work done in a very seamless way. So that's really what's driving technology. Interesting to see, in India, 34% of our organizations have multiple technologies running at the same time, which brings a lot of complexity for many of us. And 21% have a mix between in-house and external vendors. That's what's then driving what am I looking for when I'm looking for technology, and how do I shortlist vendors? Number 1 is ability to integrate, because we are living in this world of multiple products running at the same time. So it's a good question for you to realize and ponder, what is the larger vision I have for the organization, and what is it that I want to do? There is no right or wrong answers, and I think today we are going to have some sessions related on how do you navigate complexity in this front. This is in terms of budget. 75% of you said that my budgets are increasing. Still, the budgets are small, if you really ask me. Only 7% has more than 1 crore. To spend 10% more than 50 lakhs to 1 crore. So I think we really need to drive, and Aruna Jayanti said it yesterday, how much money do we spend in technology for our customers? And are we spending the same amount of money for our clients? And here is the answer. There was one of you who asked that question saying, how do I build ROI for my business case, right? So I think these numbers really show, are we really committing to give that experience to our employees? I leave you with the last slide, which is how are we enabling our teams to be future ready? And unfortunately, the white column is the most important one, and you can't see it, but you can see the numbers on top. How much of it we actually have formal training for our HR? Only 23% of respondents says we have a formal program to help our HR to become digitally ready. Only 20% says we do have projects that we enable our HR to rotate. Only 22% says we do have, we're investing in, probably all of you, we're investing in sending our HR professionals to conferences or to events that will enable them. So if you see, those numbers are really, really small. I think my request to all of you to say, if you really want to win the race of digitizing HR, skilling will be the main thing. How are you enabling your HR team to be equipped to be able to do that? So I'm going to leave it now. Zinia, my time is up. I can see the timer.
Yes.
So if I can request the team to please
Yes,
unveil
it's
the
time
report.
to launch the research report. Team, I'm going to request you to kindly present the report to Esther
Thank you so much.
as she...
Thank you. It's going to be
launches the
available to all of you. So you can give me a big round of applause.
Yes!
Thank you. And this applause is for the team who is here, who led this report. So thank you so much. Yasmin, Anushri, Jafar, thank you. Thank you.
And Esther, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
sharing some
Thank you.
key numbers with us. Thank you very much, Esther.